What up, everybody? It's Aaron here with Robert. We are here with Talkin Geek, giving you all that geeky news out there this week, guys. I hope everyone's doing fun. I hope you got to go watch WakandaVision.
Nope.
No.
WandaVision on Disney Plus, which our spoiler review of the first 2 episodes is up on the channel. Be sure to check that out at official GYGO on YouTube. It dropped. It was weird. It was exciting. We don't know that much. No. Again, get our full thoughts in our spoiler-filled
exactly.
review.
Go watch that.
Yeah.
And watch this one also. And if you are on our podcast, please go check out official GYGO, YouTube, Facebook, all of that. So we share posts.
I do finger points when you talk about podcast.
He does.
So all of you audio listeners, I'm pointing at you and telling you to do it.
Yeah. You can see that. I'm 100% sure y'all can see that. You can
hear my pointing.
If you go fast enough, like it'd be the whip from like Indiana Jones every time.
Correct.
I'll put a little whip sound maybe one day for you.
That.
Aww. So again, we're going to talk about some news this week.
Yeah.
You want to bring up the first one?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that we got was a report that Ethan Hawke, sticking in the Disney Plus Marvel Universe, Ethan Hawke has been reported to be joining the cast of Moon Knight as the main villain. So now, I am super looking forward to Moon Knight because I don't know much about the Moon Knight character except that he's
crazy.
He's crazy. He's like a mix almost between Deadpool and Batman, from what I understand. Is like he's like a mercenary. He's a soldier. He's a billionaire. He's super smart, but he's also insane and he kills people.
Yeah.
And so I'm super looking forward to this, but I don't know anything about his backstory other than like he thinks that he's there's an Egyptian deity that is like controlling him, sort of, or that he like is in service to, I think. And so I don't know who any of his villains are. I have no idea who Ethan Hawke could be playing.
I don't know either, to be honest. I mean, because Ethan Hawke's very talented.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, who are you going to play? Like, you can't give him some minor B-rated villain.
What if he's Dracula?
I will laugh if he's Dracula, and I need to hear the nerd comment. I need that to happen. I would like to see him as Dracula. Because he is debonair. He is very nice, good-looking older gentleman.
Yeah, so I will say that like kind of a feature of Dracula is also feeling a little bit like gaunt, which is like kind of that slim face kind of thing. Ethan Hawke has that. Yeah. He definitely could pull off a Dracula.
And there were rumors about Blade already. There have been rumors about Blade for a while.
Well,
so
not just rumors. I mean, we know that movie is coming. Mahershala Ali has been cast as Blade.
That is true. So is this a lead up to Blade? Because if Dracula gets away and all of a sudden at the end of the series you could see a silhouette of Blade or just the sword sticking out of his back, because that's how his signature
Ethan
thing.
Hawke is a very talented actor. He could easily cross over into something like Blade.
Absolutely. I could see that happening. Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping, fingers crossed, Dracula. Or cool. Something very close to Dracula. Some kind of like something that would bring Blade around.
Yeah.
Or even somebody who could bring Punisher around. Maybe it would be cool to see, but I don't know yet. I don't know. I like the idea of Dracula. Like you said, Moon Knight is that's a good way to explain him is Batman mixed with some Deadpool, because he kind of knows he is crazy too, and just like Deadpool knows he's insane. Moon Knight kind of crosses that line, but he is a billionaire. He is highly intelligent. He fights like Batman. He knows all these different martial arts. He has like his moon rangs or whatever you want to call them, which are basically batarangs.
Yeah.
He has a lot of gadgets very similar to Batman, I would say.
Yeah, but again, lethal.
Yeah, these are sharpened to kill you.
Right.
Not to just hurt you.
Right. It's where Batman would throw one to pin your shoulder to the wall. He'll
just throw it at your face.
He'll throw it through your neck or through your heart or whatever.
Well, they are pinned to the wall still. They're just now bleeding out.
Right. Yeah. We're just gonna kill him. So anyway,
I'm excited for him.
Yeah, we don't know exactly when this show is coming. We don't know a lot of details about who Ethan Hawke is playing.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been confirmed by Marvel or Ethan Hawke, but it also hasn't been denied, and it's been reported pretty strongly from multiple sources that this is real. So I feel pretty confident that Ethan Hawke is coming. Speaking of casting rumors, sticking with the MCU, we got a report this week that Chris Evans would be returning to the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Captain America in an upcoming MCU project. And then Chris Evans threw cold water on that theory by tweeting news to me. So now Chris Evans. Now I will say that this has happened multiple times with the MCU, where a casting rumor has come out, somebody has denied it, and then it still happened.
Yeah.
So it's not. This is not by any means taking this off the board and saying that this is definitely not true, but I don't know that Chris Evans is the actor that would do that. Like some of these other ones that's happened with have been like Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk. That report came out like a couple months before Disney Investor Day that she was going to play She-Hulk, and she denied it 100%. And then they announced it on Disney Investor Day. Tatiana Maslany is She-Hulk. So there definitely is a something. This has happened before, but I don't necessarily feel like Chris Evans. He's been pretty strong about the fact that he feels like Captain America's story was told, that like he doesn't want to return to it necessarily because he feels like that might ruin the arc that they gave him and where he ended up. He also, he was Captain America in a movie for 8 straight years. Like he was in 2011, it was Captain America: The First Avenger. Then in 2012, he was in Avengers. In 2013, he actually made a cameo appearance in Thor: The Dark World. In 2014, he had Captain America: The Winter Soldier. In 2015, it was Age of Ultron. In 2016, it was Civil War. And then in 2018 and 19, it was Infinity War and Endgame. So I think he got a year off.
I forgot Spider-Man.
I think. Oh yeah, he made a cameo in 2017 in Homecoming when he did the little videos. So yeah, he was in at least one MCU movie every year from 2011 through 2019.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's spoken about wanting to take a step back from the role, and maybe take some time. I believe him. He has pursued some smaller studio stuff before. He's pursued directing even before, and so
he was in Knives Out. It was like his last movie after. He's like, I'm done. Okay, do Knives Out.
And I do feel like there's a potential story maybe a decade down the road that I could see Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. returning for, but. When this report first came out, the first thing I thought, even before Chris Evans denied it, was like, wow, that's really fast. Like, I was like, I feel like he's going to take more time off than that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm closing the door on him ever returning to the MCU, but it did feel like, wow, that's really quick. Now, if they're just entering negotiations now for a project, that project could still be 3-4 years away. And so,
it almost hit that decade
by that point, it's still, 6 years later than, the last thing he was in 2019 and Endgame. So I'm not saying it's 100% not true, but I would be a little bit surprised if this comes out that, he's working on something that's going to come out in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Now, one thing that would be interesting, at one point Captain America does kind of head S.H.I.E.L.D. and becomes Colonel or whatever, the director or whatever. It'd be funny if he comes out as something like that from an alternate reality, and he's not Captain America.
Old man Steve Rogers?
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't go by that anymore. Maybe he just goes by director. And someone comments, well, you're Steve Rogers, and it's like, I was once Steve Rogers, or I was once Captain America. So he's not, news to me of, I'm not playing Captain America, but I'm playing another version of him. But it's not Captain America, it's something else.
Or, what if this is to return as a cameo as Johnny Storm in the Multiverse of Madness? Like, he's not coming back as Captain America.
Right.
He's coming back as
oh my god, that'd be hilarious. I would so love for him to walk past a picture of Captain America that dude's pretty handsome. I bet you he has a nice ass.
Well,
just walks off.
I think it would just be great to have Doctor Strange and Spider-Man show up in that and be like, Cap, we need your help. He's like, who the heck is Cap?
Yeah. My name's Johnny. Drive that Ferrari over there.
Flame on.
Flame on, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
that'd be funny.
That would be really funny if he actually is returning to the MCU, but not as Captain America, as Johnny
as Human
Storm.
Torch. That would be funny.
I think that would be a very clever way. But other than that, I don't know. Returning as old man Steve Rogers would also be interesting, maybe in an advisory capacity to maybe the Young Avengers, which it seems like we're building to. We're getting a lot of these series and movies that seem like we're getting a lot of those Young Avengers characters. So maybe he could act as a mentor in that. And he wouldn't necessarily have to be as bulked out as he is, which I think is part of the reason why he probably wants to walk away. Maintaining that physique is insane.
I mean, I know Chris Hemsworth has commented several times that he's I'm done with wanting to keep bulking up because it's hard. But I'm sure he had fun being Fat Thor. He didn't have to bulk up as much anymore.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So anyways, this story, take it with a grain of salt, whether or not Chris Evans is actually returning to the MCU.
Human Torch, though. Now I'm on board.
That would be I would be so on board.
I would, too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now let's shift. We've been in my realm in the movies and TV. Let's shift to your realm. Let's go to...
So, mine. I love it.
Gaming!
Yes! So, in some big gaming news. So, EA has been the main person who does all the... Exactly. Does all the Star Wars video games.
Go away, EA.
Nobody likes
You're not early 2000s EA Sports. You suck now.
You are EA. Give me your money now.
Early 2000s EA Sports video games were the best.
They really were.
And now EA.
Now we're going to give you a video game that's EA Sports. It's a football game, but to get your favorite characters, you're going to spend $20 for DLC. But even though they're on the team, but they're not on the team. Who cares? So we're going to give you a burger, but you're going to pay for every single topping on it, including the bun.
EA sucks.
So they've been holding the Star Wars franchise for years. They actually flopped on Battlefront 2, or Battlefront, the first one, I should say. Mm-hmm. They flopped on that one, and the second one flopped too. They haven't been doing well. Excuse me. The last game they did, which was the Last Jedi, which is where Joker, essentially, I always joke, picks up a lightsaber again.
Yes.
Because, Mark Hamill's Joker, and then the kid who played Joker from Gotham voices and looks like him in the game, picks up a lightsaber in this Last Jedi game. And that was like the last one that people are like, this is a good one. But it's a solid story. It's all in there. There's no online play. There's no anything.
Yeah.
EA did well because they couldn't, pick your pocket anymore. They really couldn't, unless they do DLC about other stories.
Yeah. But Lucasfilm yoinked it back.
Yep, Lucasfilm said their contract's up. They didn't renew.
Yep.
So now it's free game for anyone to build a video game. Ubisoft has just announced that they are building a Star Wars... They're working with Lucas Games to build a Star Wars-driven game.
All right, so as the non-gamer, walk me through what is Ubisoft known for? What are the game titles that I'm going to be like, oh, I've heard of that, I know that?
Well, the biggest one that I think pretty much everybody's going to know, because they actually even just came out with a game not too long ago, Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
That franchise has been going on for years.
Okay.
Another big one for them...
They made a terrible movie.
Oh my god, the movie is terrible. One good scene. I will say one good scene.
All right, yeah.
Their other game is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. They think they had a hand in that.
They made a game for that?
Yeah, back when the movie first came out.
Wow.
But it was like a little 2D side-scroller kind of thing.
I had no idea.
That one was fun.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs was another big one they did.
Okay.
Rainbow Six Siege is another... That's probably like the biggest competitive game that they have. So that's actually on the competitive level, people playing for money.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that one.
Division? I don't know if you know that one. Division... That's a very online one. That one's had some issues.
Yeah.
They were in the news a few years ago about a game called For Honor. It was supposed to be like this medieval fighting game, but they sucked. Like, it was one of those kind of like, give us our money back because we don't want it.
Wow.
And once they fixed everything, they basically gave away the game. It was like, if you download it from like this time to this time, the game was free.
Okay.
Because it was so bad.
So now that Ubisoft has the Lucasfilm rights, they can make a Star Wars film or Star Wars game.
Yes.
What are you like excited for to see? What is driving? Like, obviously they're better than EA.
Yeah.
But like, why are you like, ooh, this is exciting?
I'm excited because Ubisoft isn't as bad as EA is with the like pay to win. Essentially, is what it's called. You pay to buy the better characters, to buy what you want. EA actually was in trouble not too long ago with Battlefront with the loot crates. So loot crates, what they do is it's a mystery box you pay for, and you get random items in it.
Yeah, and I think that they got in trouble because it was like almost like gambling.
It borders gambling.
Because it's not a guaranteed item. Mm-hmm. It's you have a percentage chance of getting this. Like, you're guaranteed something, but maybe not the thing you really want.
Exactly. Yeah. And like slot machines in Vegas, for those in the States, you pull the slot machine and bing, ding, 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 you get, and that's kind of what these boxes do to drive people wanting to buy more. Mm-hmm. So they got in trouble because a Darth Vader skin had a like 0.01% chance of getting it. And that doesn't mean if I buy, like, let's say it was 1%. Let's round it up real quick. If it was 1%, it doesn't mean if I open 100, I'm going to get one.
Nope.
It means 1% chance per
every
box
time
I open.
Yeah.
So you can spend $400 and never get one.
Right. It's like flipping a coin, where you would say, okay, the more times you do it, the likelier it is that it's going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
But you could flip a coin and land on heads 100 times in a row. Mm-hmm. Like, that is within the realm of possibility, because every time you flip it, you have a 50-50 chance.
Exactly.
So, yes, the more times you do it, the likelier it is that you'll get those results, but it's not like a guarantee. It's still not a guarantee.
Yeah. Like you said, they it's 50-50 chance to get heads. It is. But if it lands 100% of the time on heads, well, it was 100%.
Right.
So they got in trouble. So Ubisoft doesn't do stuff like that. So that I'm excited for. The Assassin's Creed games, when they take their time and build these worlds, they are amazing.
Right.
They did get in trouble a while back when they were basically pumping out a new Assassin's Creed every year, and you could feel it because it was just like, this is.
I remember. I remember as the non-gamer, like, you know, people when like the first couple Assassin's Creed games came out, everyone was like, "These are amazing."
Yes.
And then I remember, like, I don't remember whether it was third or fourth or fifth or whatever it was. Yeah. There was one of those games that people came and people. I remember the reaction was like, "Wow, this is not as good. This is a definite disappointment." So yeah, I'm thinking they're going to take their time. Now, are they known for like open world games? Like, are we going to get an open world Star Wars game maybe?
We could, because Assassin's Creed is very open world. You can pretty much go anywhere in the realm of that world. I don't know. I'm excited because Division 2 is also kind of an open world sandbox, kind of. There are certain things that keep it from being a truly open world game, but we could still get that. You could still get like the infiltration kind of aspect of like stormtroopers going in, or maybe a rebel forces trying to sneak into like a Death Star or, you know, a base and just try to slowly get the intel. It would be interesting. I personally would like to see more of that action side because we have a lot of stories in the video games. I would like to see one, but I think that last Jedi game that they did that EA did was really good, really solid. I don't want to follow up to that. I would like to see more of like mission based, like, okay, we're rebel soldiers, we gotta sneak in, we gotta do this. I would kind of like to see stuff like that.
It's like you want the Battlefront games, but done well.
Exactly, I really do. You know, and because Battlefront to me is just a bunch of, okay, everybody run out there, go capture the flag and die. But I want to know, like,
well,
okay,
Battlefront 2, like the story mode, I remember, like it is kind of what you're wanting.
Yeah.
But wasn't necessarily executed.
No, because they go back into the online part because it takes you back out. It's like, go online to secure this. I want to, like I've always said, I don't want any more Skywalker stuff. So don't bring me those people.
You do.
I don't. Oh my god, they don't. So I want to know though, why is the rebels the way they are? Why is the stormtroopers? So maybe it's like, okay, we got to infiltrate. This is how we're going to get Luke Skywalker that knowledge. We're going to get them the help they need. We're going to secure this. I would like to see maybe like a Rogue One kind of style of infiltration, espionage, and all that. That would be a fun little thing for me. Sure. Because I don't really want to be Luke Skywalker anymore. I'm tired of, you know, Battlefront 1 and 2, you can be Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and all that, rocking on the battlefield and fighting. Why can't I be, you know, like a lieutenant in the Rebels, and it's okay, I got my soldiers I gotta run
Because
with.
you're gonna get choked out by Darth Vader.
I didn't say I was gonna live, but, you know.
If this is a consularship, then where's the ambassador?
I don't know. I'm excited
right.
like, that Ubisoft has it. I mean, if they do an open world game like Assassin's Creed, that'd be really cool too. Yeah. I'd be okay with that. But I'm going to want more of an action game. That's what I want.
Well, we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to our next topic.
Back to your realm.
Yeah, well, back to the realm of men, but also dwarves and elves and hobbits.
Ooh.
So, Lord of the Rings, the series at Amazon Prime, has been in the works for a while.
Yes.
They've finally revealed the synopsis, which is that this is going to be set in the Second Age. So, all of the movies that we got before, you know, whether it was the Lord of the Rings movies, the Hobbits movies, those were all set in the Third Age, and so that was, you know, kind of the culmination of defeating Sauron and all that stuff. The Second Age is actually when the rings were first formed. And so we have an idea that this is going to play. We're going to get our Sauron villain, most likely. We're going to get elves, men, and dwarves. We might not get any hobbits in this series because I don't know, you know, if they really played a big role in the Second Age. But, you know, we know that all of the, you know, the formation of the rings, and it was 3 to the elves. It was 7 to the dwarves. It's either 5 or 7 to the dwarves and 9 to men. And so in the movies, it is established that 2 of the elven rings were given to Elrond and Galadriel. Elrond being played by Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, I knew
and
one.
Galadriel is played by Cate Blanchett. So possibly they could return.
But they would have to look younger, right? Because they're younger at this point?
They would have to look the same age as they did basically in The Lord of the Rings, because elves don't really age.
Right.
And so like they could still look the same as they did, but that was 20 years ago. So I don't know if Cate Blanchett and Hugo Weaving really look like that. I don't really want de-aging. I don't know if we're going to get them. Like, they haven't been announced as returning to this series. This is a TV series. It's not a movie. So I don't actually think we'll get Hugo Weaving and Cate Blanchett. But, I think that we will see certainly, all of the various races of Middle-earth. Mm-hmm. We'll see, our villain. We'll see Sauron. We'll see Mount Doom and all those things. But I don't really know what story we're going to tell. No. This is not Doctor Doom. This is not.
You said Mountain.
This is not Doom? Latveria. Yeah, Mount Doom existed before Latveria and Doctor Doom.
Okay, fine.
Actually, I don't know if that's true. Lord of the Rings was written in like the 50s. I don't know when Doctor Doom debuted. So
probably after that.
Probably, but I don't know.
But then he came back and said, "I'm going to claim this in the name of Doom." So now Mount Doom.
Sure. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So, we really don't know much outside of, again, that synopsis. They have revealed a lot of, like, the actors and actresses. Not a lot of names, not people that I really recognize or know. But, Lord of the Rings, I love those. I love the original trilogy. The Hobbit movies, they're not my favorite. The books, I've read all the books. I've read the Lord of the Rings books. I've read The Hobbit. I haven't read a lot of the other Middle-earth stuff that Tolkien wrote, like the Silmarillion or some of those other things. So I don't have the same kind of backstory with all of that. But I do love the world of Middle-earth, and I'm looking forward to this series. I definitely want to watch it. What about you?
I'll watch them. So I've watched the original Lord of the Rings movies.
Extended or theatrical?
Theatrical.
If you don't know, then it was theatrical.
Yeah, I was like, I had to double check. Well, because I was going to one time and then stuff came out when I was in college, so I was like, no, it got too busy.
You don't have 12 hours to spare?
No, God, no.
The extended edition?
I knew this one girl that we were friends in college, and she was like, it's 11 hours, so many minutes. It's like, I was like, how do you know this? She goes, I've watched it like 10 times. I'm like,
yeah. Well, so those movies came out when I was in high school. And
old, yes.
And I remember, you're only a few years older than me. It's not
I'm
like
that. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
The first, and really the third one came out my freshman year of high school. Okay, so 2003. So you were probably in high school too.
Junior or senior, depending when it came out. There you go.
See, Christmas. But anyways,
I was a senior. Yeah.
So. I remember when that third one came out and the extended editions came out on like DVD and stuff. Yes. So that was maybe a year or two later. I think I was a junior at that point. And I remember having, like my New Year's party, like hanging out with all my nerd friends. And that was literally, that's what we did is like at like 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve, we put on Fellowship of the Ring, and like we were watching them all, and nobody made it all the way through. Like we didn't make it to 6 a.m. But we were watching, like that was our like we were totally nerds. We were not drinking. We were not we were like 17-year-old nerds watching Lord of the Rings extended editions.
That's hilarious.
That's what I remember about those.
See, my thing is I don't know, because I was already up here in San Antonio at that point. I didn't have a lot of friends into it, so I didn't really get to watch it. That one girl I was going to, but then we both got. I was a sophomore in college at the time. Yeah. So we both just got busy with school and stuff. And then she went back to Houston, Dallas, wherever she was from, like that next year. But yeah, I'd never seen those. I did watch the first Hobbit. I think that was in 3D, right? That one came out in 3D.
Probably.
And I know that was the only tickets available. And me and this other friend of mine were like, we want to see the Hobbit. So we went, and then we had to see it in 3D. I remember at one point we both take our glasses off and we're like, it looks fine with that, and I don't think we ever put them back on.
Well, so this is my movie experience with The Hobbit, right?
Okay.
So I love the Lord of the Rings movies,
right?
And when that first Hobbit movie came out, I had moved down here. I was living in San Antonio, and my nerd culture geek friends, I didn't have anymore. Yeah. I had a very good friend, and so we actually were taking a road trip up to Dallas. And we had some time to kill while we were in Dallas. Like we were there for a specific event, but we had, we had some time to kill. Yeah. And like we both loved movies, and it was like, let's go see a movie. Okay. And I was like, and I'm the nerd, the person that I was with, not at all. Yes. And I was like, well, let's go see The Hobbit. Like, and so, oh man, like just that movie was dragging by 20 minutes in. It was like boring and just dragging, and I just remember like sitting there like willing the movie to get better because I felt so bad that I had dragged my friend to this boring movie, and it never got better. It was 3 hours long, and you felt every second of it. It was so long, and I remember walking out of that theater and just turning to my friend and being like, "I'm sorry, like, I'm sorry that we did that." And it's funny because me and that friend and I, we had probably 3 or 4 really weird movie theater experiences, like some that were like uncomfortable, like I don't want to be watching this movie, some that were like that where it was just like a bad movie, and so like, you know, like, and at times it's been movie I picked, at times it was a movie she picked, and so either way, we both were like, we don't have anything to say you can't pick movies anymore, because we both picked bad movies, but that was definitely one that was a very bad movie, and so I remember, like, I had no intention of seeing the second one. I ended up seeing it a few years later because a friend of mine was like, "You haven't seen that? Let's watch it." And so we put it on the TV. I did not see it in theaters. I didn't really care for that one either. I still have never seen the third one in the trilogy because I don't have another 2.5 to 3 hours to spend on that trilogy. I don't care. I've read the book. The book is like 200 pages. It's really good. That should be one movie. That's all. It should be one pared down movie, a 2-hour movie. You can tell the Hobbit story. I don't need and that's 10 hours of content.
I think that's funny because I think Kevin Smith, he just released it, he posted it. He wrote a 100-page script for his movie, so it's like 200. I mean, yeah, you could easily turn that into one movie.
Absolutely.
And because let's face it, his movie is probably going to be like an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, usually so a page of script usually translates to a minute of screen time.
Yeah.
So a 100-page script would be an hour 40.
Exactly.
200 pages, you can pare that down. Believe me, I've read the book. You can cut at least 50 pages out of that,
so
which would give you 2.5 hours. You could tell a 2.5-hour Hobbit movie, and I'm good.
Exactly. Like, that's funny how you say that they dragged it across 3 movies, but it's a 200-page book, and I'm like, Kevin Smith just wrote 101, I think, pages he said for that script.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think
so. I do want to return to Middle-earth. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think that we don't know much, except that we know that it doesn't seem like we're going to have any characters that we've had before, with the possible exceptions of Sauron, who we never saw face, so that could be cast as anyone, and possibly the elves. But I really... especially considering how they brought Orlando Bloom back, and he did not look good coming back for the Hobbit trilogies. I don't want them to go down that road. And I don't really think they will.
I don't think so either. So moving to the next bit of news. Still sticking to movies, though, I think, right? We're going to go with Ray Fisher?
Yeah.
For like a millionth time.
So this continues to develop back and forth between Ray Fisher and Warner Brothers. He finally, he has now confirmed, I think the last time we spoke,
last week he said he didn't check out yet.
Yeah, he basically, there was a report that he wasn't going to be Cyborg anymore in the Flash movie, and he's like, well, that's not confirmed. Now he's come out and said basically that they pushed him out, that this wasn't his choice, but that now, it's more important to him to bring these allegations to light and, have accountability. And so he's continued to push forward. There were reports a couple of months ago that Warner Brothers said he hadn't been, cooperating with the investigation, that, he had... and so he actually released an audio file of a meeting that he had with an investigator, that basically, where the investigator was like, thank you for helping us, thank you for providing proof of your allegations, thank you for, bringing these allegations to light, all this stuff. Again, we didn't get specifics. The public didn't learn about what those specific allegations were, but this audio clip seems to prove that, yes, he had specific allegations, he provided them during the investigation, and that, DC and Warner Brothers continues to try and, basically dance around this issue and not have to pay the full price for whatever happened. And it seems like Ray Fisher is going to just continue holding their feet to the fire. He's not going to let this go. It seems like, again, he now seems to have a big beef with Walter Hamada, who was not the president at the time that...
But now he is, right?
That Justice League happened, and that all the initial stuff with Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns went down. But now he's the president, and basically Ray Fisher is saying he's been trying to obstruct the investigation, and he really wasn't, paying too much, like attention, like saying, let's sweep that under the rug. It's in the past. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. And Ray Fisher's like, no, I'm not going to let that go.
Yeah.
And so he seems to now have a problem with that. And he had previously come out and said that he's not going to work on any movie that Walter Hamada is involved with.
Right.
Which kind of seems to have led to the break from The Flash. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, to me, when he said that comment, like, I won't work with him, but he was like, oh, well, it's still, I never said I wasn't going to be Cyborg. It's like, but you already commented you're not going to work with him, so it's just the next step for you to step down as Cyborg. And I know we talked about this, I want to say it was last week. He even said, he's like, oh, them not recasting, and he went to a whole little tangent, which I get. I do get it, and I respect his, what happened to him and that his voice needs to be heard. But at this point, don't try to play... Like that, last week I feel like he was almost kind of trying to play both sides. Like, oh no, I haven't said I'm not going to be Cyborg, but I don't want to work with him anymore. So are you going to try to get him fired first?
So I think this is where Ray Fisher is at. Is that I think he wants to be Cyborg.
I agree.
That was his breakout role. He wants, every actor wants to have a big role. Wants to Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Of course, there were other actors that wanted to be Iron Man, so he got cast in a huge movie, Justice League. He was Cyborg. He wants to be Cyborg, but he's making the choice to say, this is more important than being Cyborg, because I guarantee you, if he hadn't pushed this, maybe if he did it behind the scenes, but he hadn't made it public, if he had kind of played by the rules, he probably would still be Cyborg.
I agree to that.
But he's saying it's more important to me that we have this accountability. That's not saying that he doesn't still want to be Cyborg, because I think he still does.
I think so too.
But I think what he's saying is that, if they're not going to clean this up, then I'm going to take the stand. I'm going to draw the line in the sand, and I'm going to take a stand and not allow this to continue, and not allow them to get away with this.
And I agree 100%. I think you're right. I really do. But just the way he said it last week maybe threw me off a little bit. Because I was expecting this last week. Like, hey, I am out. Because like you said, I drew my line, they drew theirs, and I'm done. And I'm out. And I was expecting him to say this last week, not this week, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, again, you kind of knew he was going out. I know he wants not to take Jeff Jones down. I don't know if he wants to do it that way, but I think he needs people to understand what happened. Whether it is getting Jeff Jones fired or what.
I think he certainly wants consequences.
Exactly. I just don't know if he wants him fired. I don't know, because I don't know exactly what happened with him and Jeff Jones. I understand the Joss Whedon part, which they seem to have gotten rid of Joss Whedon, that he is kind of swept aside, like, okay, we're not going to work with you. Jeff Jones, I don't know what happened with him. John. See, I already don't know names. with him, I don't know exactly what happened, so I don't know if he wants him to get fired too, or if he just wants to get in trouble and you suffer the consequences.
Yeah, we really don't know, and on one hand, he has been very public throughout this, but on the other hand, we don't have any of the details.
No,
he hasn't revealed any details, and a lot of people have said, well, that's because there isn't anything. Clearly, this recording that he put out seems to say, no, there definitely was something, and he's not. I think he's probably been advised by his own lawyers and people like that to not go into specifics, because as soon as you go into specifics and things like that, then your case can be a little bit less effective or robust.
Especially if they find that there's that one lawyer that found that one detail that was off, and it's like, nope, now it's all out the window.
It certainly does seem like he's trying to have it both ways, which again, I understand he's trying to hold in the we've seen this happen so many times, the court of public opinion. He's trying to say Warner Brothers needs to be held accountable for this.
Which they do.
These are the people that need to be held accountable for this.
Which they do.
And, so he's trying to do that, but I think that, again, because he's not been specific with a lot of his allegations, there has been wiggle room for both Warner Brothers and a lot of fans to say, well, you haven't really given us enough, and so, why don't you just close your mouth and let us move forward?
And see,
nobody looks good in this. We've said it a million times. Warner Brothers doesn't look good. Walter Hamada, Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, Ray Fisher doesn't look good throughout this scenario. But at the end of the day, something's got to break. And I don't know how long the story's going to go on.
I don't know. I mean, and eventually, like you said, somebody has to break. Warner Brothers kind of has a lot of funding behind them. They can keep going for a while.
Sure.
And they can also, look at somebody like Keanu Reeves. These movie companies can eventually blacklist you that you'll never get a movie again. it took Keanu after what was it, the bus movie that he was in?
Oh, Speed.
Speed. After Speed, he really didn't go in there because he even comments himself. He rejected the second one. The movie company blamed him for the failure of that movie and essentially blacklisted him for ever working with them again.
Yeah.
And now it took him about 15, 20 years or so to finally start coming back around.
No. It was only about 5 years because Speed was early '90s and he got The Matrix in '99.
And when was the last time he did something big after Matrix?
Well, I mean, The Matrix was a huge trilogy for a few years, and then he did Constantine, and and then he got John Wick, and I mean,
but John Wick's recent.
Yeah, but
10 years maybe. Say he was blacklisted for about 10.
I mean, again, The Matrix was huge, so it's hard to say that he got blacklisted. He got a huge movie role, but
he comments how a lot of money roles he couldn't get after that. So.
And I understand it, and certainly, Ray Fisher does not have the pedigree of a Keanu Reeves.
No,
not even
Keanu. Almost Keanu Reeves doesn't even.
Well, I mean, Keanu, at that time he'd had, what's the one with him and Patrick Swayze, Point Break. So he'd had Point Break, he'd had Speed, he had been kind of an action star in the early 90s, and then, came out with The Matrix in the late 90s, and, had that for a few years. So, Ray Fisher, this was his big break. Yeah. This was his big role. So, if he doesn't like this might be what he becomes known for, is being Cyborg and then having this falling out with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I hope not. I liked him a lot as Cyborg. I think he was a good actor. I think he played that role well. But yeah, I mean, this is reality of business, as well as clashing with kind of the moment we're in, where we're wanting accountability for things, and that it's not okay to be abusive on set,
exactly,
and all of those different types of things. So yeah, I mean,
we'll see where it goes.
It is super interesting.
It is. So moving on to another, I guess, controversial subject.
Yeah, a little bit political.
Yeah. So if you don't want to hear it, you can end now. I wouldn't care. I apologize, but I wouldn't care.
Yeah,
it's a big thing. It's still geeky though.
It is. So the story we're going to get into is about the Punisher and his symbol.
The skull.
Which, that skull symbol has been used by some... It was seen in the Capitol. Yes. And again, if you are unfamiliar with what happened, I don't know where you've been living. But on January 6th, there were some violent... I don't know what you call them.
Protesters, insurrectionists.
Yeah. Basically,
terrorists
invaded the Capitol building at the in Washington D.C. And some of them had the Punisher logo either on their clothes, on flag, different types of things. And so it's once again come up. This is an old controversy about the use of the Punisher symbol and, that character and what he represents and who has identified with him over the years. It's been addressed even in the comics.
Yes, 100%.
By the character of the Punisher, Frank Castle. We've had now reports of John Bernthal has come out, who played the Punisher. We've had different creators and artists that have worked on Punisher comics. And people seem to be coming down on a couple different sides of this. Some saying that, that logo has now been appropriated and it's being used by people who are looking to, represent something that the Punisher isn't, and so we should retire the character. And there's other people that are saying, Marvel needs to come in and they need to lay the hammer down and say, this is our logo and you cannot use it without our consent. So I know the Punisher is one of your favorite characters.
Yes. I love Frank.
I know that, in comics, the Punisher has come out very strongly and said, I'm not a role model. I don't want you to be like me. Police should not be using my symbol. Never. They should not be like me. I am not someone that people should follow in the footsteps of. And so it has been addressed. I know you feel strongly about this. So, where are you at?
I am on the side that I agree. Disney needs to take back this symbol. And I've been on this side, I'm going to say for years, because I'm going to step back a little bit further. The Afghanistan wars, Iraq wars, soldiers would paint the skull on the side of missiles that were being launched. And I was, as much as like, oh, that's cool as a geek, I was like, I'm not for that because this isn't what he wants. He doesn't like war. He doesn't want
It would make more sense to put Stark Industries on the
Wrong, but yes. So wrong, but yes, it is true. I mean, but to have the Punisher symbol, because these bombs, they kill hundreds of people.
Absolutely.
When these things blow up, they also don't discriminate. They don't go by age, gender. They don't care. When these things blow up, when a bullet goes out, it doesn't care. Frank cares whether he takes his shot. Sometimes he won't take his shot because a civilian's in the way.
Right.
And sometimes these soldiers, I understand, they make tough calls. I'm not going to, say that it's easy to be a soldier because it's very tough.
Sure.
But I don't like that the symbol is used out there. I think it should stay in the comics because Frank has a certain way of looking at life, and if you don't follow that look, don't use that logo. Like you said, this was used in the Capitol. Frank would never, ever go into that Capitol and do what happened that day. He would never do that. Right. He'd be on the other side, shooting the crowd maybe of people trying to get in, because now he feels you are a bad guy, and now you've just broken the law. And Frank says, you break the law, you get a bullet. That's kind of what Frank is. Whether
black and white.
Very black and white, yes. There is no, we're doing this. Nope, you broke a law. I don't care what it is, you broke it, you're dead. That's Frank.
Can I speed? Am I going to get shot through the head for going 5 miles over the speed limit?
You might. He might be like, bam. Depending what state you're in, it's where it falls. Frank is very black and white. Yeah. So I want to say this first. John Berthenol said, he commented on someone who drew a picture of him as the Punisher. He kind of retweeted it and says, I'm with you. It's a beautiful work. These people are misguided, lost, and afraid. They have nothing to do with what Frank stands for or is about big love. So he was commented to the artist on that. And I agree. These people don't stand for it. I love Frank for who he is. Like you said yourself a minute ago in the comics, there were police who arrested him and let him go and we're on your side. And they kind of showed him the symbol, if you ever need us. And he basically told them, do this again and I'm going to kill you. Because you're letting me as a vigilante who murders people go, and that's not right either. You shouldn't live like me. You shouldn't want to be like me. You guys should not have a force of people who protect the Punisher because I need to go to jail too. I need to pay for my crimes. Yeah. And he knows it. He knows he is a bad person. Yeah. But he also knows he's doing this because his family was murdered and he doesn't want anyone else to go through that. Right. But he knows the consequences. We have a storyline that, one of my favorite writers, I got to meet him a while back. He wrote it, it's with the Barracuda. Barracuda wanted to be kind of like the next Punisher, and he was almost groomed that way until he crossed lines Frank would never cross. And now he became what Frank needs to kill. And the guy was half Frank's age and all this other stuff, and the younger one, he's like, oh, I'm going to beat you, and Frank's like, I got wisdom, I got knowledge, I know what to do that you haven't learned in the 30 years I've been doing this. It's like, I don't know, they don't follow what Frank is. I like Frank's black and white view. As long as I'm a good person and I stay good, he's going to leave me alone. He's never going to hurt you. And even, it's shown really well in the comic book Civil War, where he joins Captain America's side. He kills 2 villains that are trying to kill Spider-Man because he feels they're evil now. They're killing a hero. Got to kill him. And when Steve tells him, no more killing. You can't kill anymore. He respects Steve and he says, okay. So he uses rubber bullets. So he's using the rubber bullets, helping them out until they get into a situation where he kind of needs to pull out the live ammo. Puts live ammo in, kills a couple more villains. Steve is like, I told you no killing, but he was like, it was the only way. If you didn't kill them, they would have killed you and Spider-Man or whoever it was. And Steve beats the ever-living crap out of him. Yeah. And he never raises a hand to Steve Rogers because Steve is a good man. And he believes in what Captain America is. And he would not that he wants to be Captain America, but he respects what Captain America stands for. Sure. So he took the beating. He even let himself get arrested, get thrown in jail because he would never, ever go against Captain America. And I feel like if you don't go against Captain America, again, Captain America wouldn't have stood for this either, what happened. He would have stood by Cap. And, that's Frank. Yeah. What about you? Do you think they should retire all of this and get rid of Frank finally?
I think this is really tough because I think that, and I remember the controversy when John Bernthal was coming out in the Netflix shows as Punisher. There was a lot of talk about, is this the right character for the time we live in? Where, and I don't remember which school shooting it was, but there was a big one that happened right before the first season of Punisher debuted on Netflix. And we don't need to remember which one it is.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway.
But, there was a lot of kind of talk like, is this the hero we need? Somebody that kills people with guns in this environment? Like, is this what we need? And I think that it's always been a fine line for Marvel to walk, to kind of show this character and have him be true to who the character is, while also not glorifying what he does, not necessarily approving what he does, but just telling the story of who he is. And I thought that Netflix show did a really great job of showing this character, showing why he does the things that he does, why he takes the actions he takes, but also that not only is he tortured by them, but he clearly doesn't want other people to do this, and he respects other people that feel like he shouldn't be doing this. I mean, he has multiple relationships in that show with people that don't approve of what he's doing, and he understands them, and he has those conversations where he goes, I don't want you to do this. I've taken this burden and I will do this. And so it's a very fine line. I think the character in and of itself, I think it is important to have a character like that because you need to show that there are people that have that mentality, that have that mindset. But yes, I think you have to thread the needle. On what that character believes and how he goes through it. I think the Netflix show did a really good job with John Bernthal. I think there is space for that character to live in the comics and the movies and the TV shows, and they could still do it, but it's a very tough task. It is. And so I don't know that Marvel Studios is going to do that. I don't know that Marvel Comics, I don't think they're going to cancel the Punisher. No. I agree. I think that Marvel and Disney need to take control back of their logo and their imagery and really make a strong show that this is our imagery and you cannot use it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the character be on the back burner for at least a couple of years.
And I agree with that. I think that you're right. The show did it perfectly, especially, and there's one scene I always go to with Frank in this one, where the girl shoots the guy, and he's essentially choking on his own blood. He's dying really slow, and she's like, I killed him, man. I killed him. He's like, no. Bam! I killed him. Let your conscience stay clear. Frank's is already like, I'm tainted. I'm going to, whether you believe in hell or whatever, if he does himself, he knows he's not a good person. So he took, like you say, he takes that burden on away from this little girl who is like, I don't need this. I can't handle someone dying like that by my hands, so Frank takes it into his own conscience. And I think that Marvel can, like you say, thread that needle, but they do need to start, doing your cease and desist letters, going after these companies who are printing the logo on flags and everything. And if they do have legal right, maybe they did go to Marvel and say, hey, I want to have this, and like, yeah, sure, use our licensing, here you go. Marvel needs to turn around and say, we're going to take our licensing back. You're not going to do this anymore. And start putting that stop to stuff. Maybe some of these people do it legally and get the licensing. Sure. But there's a lot of people who don't do it legally and just print and make money, which is illegal because it is a copyrighted thing. And, I've looked at it before because I wanted to print some shirts and stuff with the logo. You have to go through it. Otherwise, they get your cease and desist letter and they can sue you and take your funds back. I mean, they can do whatever once you legally use it.
There's nothing I'm wearing a Marvel Comics shirt now. I don't actually know if Frank is on this shirt anywhere. I don't think so.
I don't see him off the top.
But, I could buy a Marvel officially licensed Punisher shirt and wear that into the Capitol. It's really tough to get on this unless you're going to just stop doing anything completely. Then it's really hard to say you can control your use. You can control what it gets put on. Like, you can make sure that it doesn't end up on guns or on, or
the little flag that they had, those little patches. That's where it was taken. It was like the American flag with the Punisher symbol. It's a patch on not a bone. I don't want to say a bulletproof vest because I don't know if it had the shell part. But at least a tactical vest. Right. And some of these people had the flex cuffs and stuff like that on them, which, yes, you could take that right off. Like, nope, that cannot be done. But maybe like a Punisher shirt with the skull, cool. Like you said, though, it could get out there still. It could happen. But if you put it right in the middle and these guys wear those tack vests, well, it's covered up. Now you will never see it. Put it in certain positions to where people try to do something stupid and they cover it up. Well, the symbol's gone. You can't you're not using our symbol now.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it's really tough. Again, I think there's room for the character to continue existing, and I hope he does. I think he's an important character. I think he's an interesting character. I think I really would be excited to have John Bernthal reprise that character in the MCU, because I think those 2 seasons, as well as when he was in the Daredevil show, were fantastic portrayals of this character. I would love to see that continue.
The speech with Daredevil on the rooftop is what Frank is.
It was so great.
It was a beautiful scene.
It was what Daredevil is too.
Exactly.
Like, it was a perfect juxtaposition.
It really, really was. And I loved it because it happens in the comics, very similar. Yep. And I love it how he's sitting, like Charlie Cox has commented, how he's sitting there, John Bernthal playing Frank, Charlie Cox playing Daredevil. He even almost fell for what Punisher was saying. He's like, well, maybe Punisher is right, because John Bernthal can sell it.
Yeah.
He sold us what the Punisher was, and he's like, no, wait, I'm Daredevil, I can't do that.
I mean, and this is the age-old argument, and it's been addressed in, something like Batman, too. It's like, are you willing to take that step?
Yeah.
And it's like the age-old, thing is like, if you kill a murderer, the same number of murderers still exist in the world.
But if you kill 100...
then there's 99 less.
Exactly.
Right?
And Frank's on that.
Yeah, and so it is one of those things where, that's been a long-standing story with someone like Batman, is that he won't kill, but how many people are, the Return of the Red Hood, like that storyline is great, because Jason Todd is like, how could you possibly still believe that with the wake of dead people that Joker has done, and how many could you prevent if you had taken the action? How many people would still be alive? And that's kind of where Punisher comes from, is he says, I'm going to kill people as a preventative measure as much as it is revenge. It's also revenge, but it's also the preventative measure, because I don't want this to happen to other people.
Exactly.
And so you understand his perspective, like you get it. I don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily say that this type of person should exist, that we should have someone doing these things, but you can at least understand that is his conviction. That's where he comes from, and it makes for really compelling content when you have a character like that up against someone like Captain America, or up against someone like Daredevil, who is having that moral conflict that we're not going to kill, and he's saying, but you have to. People have to die. Otherwise,
many more will die.
And basically he's saying people are going to die, and by choosing not to kill the villains, you're letting it be these people. So I'm going to choose to kill the villains so that these people survive. And it's really interesting.
And like you said, it's one of those, if I kill the villain, in my mind, I save 10 lives, let's say. Maybe that could be his thing. And in the way he looks at it, if you let the villain go and he kills 10 people, that's on you now, Daredevil. That's on you, Batman, for letting these people kill. If I would have just killed him, you'd save 10 people and that guy'd be dead, and I already took care of the problem for you.
Yeah.
And I love that about Punisher, because that is true. You have this one storyline, and this is how he, or one character, and this is how he is. And he reminded me of something else. Oh, it reminds me of a character we've talked about that I know you don't like, Scott Summers, who is Cyclops. But there's one thing I want to say.
It's not that I don't like him, it's that he doesn't live up to the hype.
He doesn't.
He kind of sucks.
He does. But in the last few years,
he's had cool storylines.
He does. In the last few years, maybe about 5-10 years, he also kind of starts realizing that Punisher might be right. Now, he has the X-Men. He's in charge at this point. Charles is gone. And he has the X-Men that, look how, the X-Men are. We're heroes. We fight crime and save the day. The normal, okay, we're taking you to jail. But then he realizes, Wolvie, X-23, I need this problem solved. And I need it to be quiet. And he creates the X-Force, who is now basically assassins. And they don't get the public eye. He knows some of these characters are a little too dangerous to just keep arresting and letting them go back into the system and coming out. I need for you to go kill them. We'll never talk about it again. So he sends this other team of literally it's X-23, Wolverine, I think Deadpool joins at one point. All these characters who use blades and who do not mind killing. And he tells them, your hands will be tainted and go murder these people. And they start killing. And then Wolverine kind of has that conscience of X-23, who's a young girl who is him. Yeah. And he tells her, I need for you to step down because my hands are already covered in blood, but I want to save your hands from being stained.
Which was also really well addressed in Logan.
Exactly.
In that show, or in that movie where, you had Wolverine kind of being that dad figure to X-23 and saying, don't let them turn you into something you're not.
Exactly.
And
the comics played it, and I think that's we're going to get those characters no matter what. Whether we take away Frank Castle, you're going to get some like Scott Summers who realizes he was right. We do need, like Mr. Sinister. We can't let him keep running around. If you guys can go, can't take him out and we'll just say he left the planet or something, then we're good.
Yeah.
No one find his body.
Mysterious disappearance.
Exactly. It's like, we beat him and he's in jail. We'll have him in this secret facility that no one knows about, but he's really rotten somewhere because his body. I don't know. Well, let us know what you think, though, because to me, this is a very controversial thing with Frank Castle.
Yeah.
And it has been since, he came out in the 70s, 80s, I believe.
And I totally get it when people say, that character needs to be retired. That character, I understand.
I do too.
I don't necessarily agree with it. I think we've talked about what our perspectives are, but I totally understand why people feel that way. And even people that have written for Frank or have illustrated those books have come out and said that also. So I totally respect that. There are characters for the moments that we're in. Like Wonder Woman was the character for the moment we were in a few years ago. That was a perfect character for that moment. Is Punisher the right character for this moment? Again, I think you can thread the needle and you can get it, but it's going to be a challenge.
It will be.
So I get it.
I think the talent is there right now, at least in this time. I think we have the talent.
Yep.
We have the writers. I think it can be done.
Yep.
I really strongly do. And now that Marvel has pretty much everybody, I think it would be interesting to see Frank enter this world, like you say, in this realm where we don't believe you're right. And maybe he's fighting some of the heroes, but he doesn't kill them because he knows they are in the right.
Sure.
But he has to self-preservate too. And I can't let you take me to jail because I need to go kill that villain that you're not willing to kill. Mm-hmm. So let me live. I would still like to see some clash, but I also would like to see maybe Frank address in a situation to where it's like, hey, these guys are storming the Capitol, or not maybe the Capitol, but maybe something, and Frank addresses it himself. Like, hey, that's not what I stand for. I don't stand for this. I'm going to let you go right now because you were just dumb, maybe misguided. Yeah. Leave, but if you stay, no, Frank's ready.
And I will say, if we had a current MCU Punisher, because we don't.
No.
John Bernthal has played the character, but that show has been canceled. He's not currently cast in anything. But let's just say that he was.
Yes.
I think we would have gotten a PSA.
I think so too.
I think we would have gotten John Bernthal addressing this specifically with Marvel's backing. But we don't have that. And so we haven't gotten it.
So he's doing it on his own too, though. He is like that tweet.
He's come out and said it, but I'm just saying I think we would have gotten a Marvel-backed message that this is not okay.
I agree. But right now, Marvel's going to see. Maybe they're trying to see what they can do. Yeah. Maybe they are getting their attorneys ready to try to take some of the licensing away or start striking down on it. I'm curious what everyone thinks. Again, we respect both sides. We're not saying one side is right or wrong. I think we respect everybody.
On this issue.
On this issue, yes. On this issue. On this one. Yeah,
I don't respect anyone that stormed the Capitol, whether they were wearing a Frank Castle logo or not.
Or Captain America's shield. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But Frank Castle.
If you come down on the issue of, that you think Frank is a character that should be retired, I can respect that. If you think that they can use him still, I respect that.
That's
too.
right. Yeah. That's what I meant. So there's one issue.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah. One issue. Don't get started on other stuff because we'll have issues apparently in a minute. But yeah, let us know what you think too in our comment section. If you're on our podcast, let us know too in the comments. I want to know what everybody thinks. I want to know where a lot of geeks stand on this because Frank has always been in that spotlight of controversial, non-controversial. So let us know what you think. It kind of wraps it up for this week, guys, with all the news. Let us know if we missed anything down below or if there's something else you want us to talk about. And remember, everybody, stay geeky. Go follow us, subscribe,